So why keep track of your fuel efficiency? Here are some ideas that we came up with. Checking your manufacturer's claims on fuel efficiency. If it changes over time, you might be a sign that you need a oil change or tune-up. Or you compare city driving and highway driving between fill-ups. See which one is better and by how much. So you can come up with other ideas of your own, I'm sure.
So what I do when I want to keep track of my fuel economy is I have a notebook that I keep here in every vehicle I own. And I always put in the distance of the odometer, and I reset a trip odometer to 0 whenever I do a fill-up. So the next time I fill up, I know exactly how far I've gone between fill-ups. I record that information in my notebook. So I've got odometer, trip odometer, the location of where I'm filling up, how much it cost me, how much fuel I used, and I always top it off. So that means when I come back and fill it up and top it off the next time, I know exactly how much fuel I used between fill-ups. Then I just divide by the trip miles, and I get my miles. Divide by gallons, I get miles per gallon. So I come to a fueling station that has diesel HPR, which stands for High Performance Renewable. So this is a renewable fuel. I have two vehicles right now that take diesel fuel, and I've had diesel fueled vehicles now for over 20 years. I always try to get the renewables or the biodiesel whenever possible. This one's 100% renewable, so I always come to this station to get my 100% renewable diesel fuel. Always get a receipt. Okay, so I'm looking at my odometer, writing down the number, and I'm in my hometown here. I put the date also. Today is the 14th. And I'll check the trip odometer, which I always reset to 0. This one takes a little more time to get to it. Then here's my trip odometer, 228.5. And now I'll reset it. It's all zeroed out. Now it's ready for the next trip. So I'll go back. Here's the speedometer again. And I've got my receipt with the amount I spent. And I'll write down the amount. I also keep track of how much I spend in a year or a month. I can figure that out too. So it's one of the benefits of keeping track of these things. And I took 9.8 gallons. So now to figure out miles divided by gallons gives you miles per gallon. And I'll write that over here. So let me do that now while I'm talking about it.
And you also notice that the dash actually gave a miles per gallon estimate, so he can double check it by actually recording the raw numbers and then doing the calculation.
Okay, so doing the calculation, I came out with 23.3 miles per gallon, and this is a Dodge 1500 Ram pickup truck with the diesel engine, so this is pretty good for a truck this size.
And it estimated on the dash 25 miles per gallon, and you can see that they're not always accurate.
They're off. I've seen my experiences, but they are off by a mile or two per gallon. So it gives you a close idea of how you're doing, but not exactly. This way it should be more accurate because you're actually measuring the gallons and the distance that you're getting out of the gallons.
So after I record the data in the notebook, I sometimes bring it in and record the data into a spreadsheet that I've set up. So this is a spreadsheet. I have a sheet in the spreadsheet for each of the vehicles. Of course, I don't have one for my electric car because I don't use liquid fuel for that. But I have a VW Jetta that uses diesel fuel. It has the TDI engine, and this was back in 2012. So I brought the notebook in, I recorded the data. This is June 4th, 2012. The odometer reading was 180,843. That trip odometer is here. Now, if I don't have the trip odometer, if I forgot to zero it out, then I can just take the previous odometer reading and subtract it from the current one to get this number. Then here's what the fuel cost me on this trip to fill it up. I used 6.2 gallons. And then the miles per gallon here is calculated. It takes the distance or miles and divides by the volume or gallons, and I get miles per gallon. So on this trip here, I drove from June 1st to June 4th. I used 6.2 gallons, and I got 41.2 miles per gallon in my VW Jetta. I also have a calculation on the cost of the fuel on this trip. Cost $4.07 a gallon. And I could also get this number off the fuel pump, but because I have the cost and the gallons, I can also calculate it here. And then I also put the location of where I filled up, just to keep track of when I went on a trip, or when I got back from a trip, so I know how much fuel I used for that trip. Then I also have it total up here at the top, the gallons. So this is how many gallons I used for the VW Jetta since I owned it, since I bought it. So I had it, at this point, I had it for 8 years, and I used this many gallons. This is how much the fuel cost me over those 8 years, and then here's the distance I've traveled since I bought it. And then this distance here for the miles, or so the number for the miles per gallon, that's averaged. And then I also average the cost per gallon, so I kind of keep track of how the cost goes up or down over time. Also specify if you want the spreadsheet to have the distance in miles or kilometers, or the volume in gallons or liters. And then you can calculate kilometers per liter. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.